Hello, everyone. Welcome to Illuminating Astrology. It's the end of March, and it's time to take a look ahead at the month of April to see what astrological weather, what astrological trends are there for practical and spiritual guidance. And as I do in my monthly series, also to take a look at the positive and difficult days for the month of April. For the sake of brevity of this video, I'll focus on the most dramatic days, whether they're positive or difficult. But in the comments in the info box, I will list them all. This is so-called electional astrology, and in this monthly series, I focus on general elections, meaning they're for the whole world, for any country, and they are based on the lunar movement. This is a more generalized form of election. It doesn't take into account the worldly situation or individual situation. Nevertheless, as a simplified form of elections, it's helpful. We don't need to do everything by astrology, but if you're considering something important, surgery, financial investment, important purchases, general electional astrology is useful. Let's take a look at the month of April 1st, what energies will be operating and what practical and spiritual guidance it gives us. So the month starts on a strong note. It starts with the full moon, which is a time of culmination, a time where many things come to our attention. And this month, I noticed there is a lot of emphasis on Aries and Libra energy. So Aries energy will have two lunations. A full moon occurs in Libra, and the new moon, which will occur later in the month, in a couple of weeks, will be in Aries. So that highlights themes of Libra and Aries for the whole month, which means Libra is about diplomacy, negotiations, talks. We can observe it in politics, in the world, and in our daily lives, meaning there is an emphasis or importance of negotiations, compromise, understanding. But Aries, conversely, is about individual expression. It is about the wars, combat, doing what one thinks is right for them without much consideration for others. So we can expect a lot of action, a lot of activity, of course, military activity as well, but also bold new beginnings, bold new moves. Aries energy is not very stable. It is a time for action for all of us. It is a time to actualize, materialize things that you want, but it's also not something very stable. Usually both Libra and Aries are good at initiating things, but not necessarily holding them. But in terms of activities, our everyday activities, it's really a good time for action, for starting something new, for actualization of your goals. So that's the beginning of the month, and that will have a dynamic energy for the whole month. Another very important thing, we have Jupiter in Cancer continue for the whole month of April and May and June. And that's a positive time for financial increases. We have other things that are unstable in the chart. For example, Mercury continues to be in difficult position, and Mercury is about trades and commerce and education for that matter, and stock market. So because Mercury is a little better than before, but continues to be unstable with Mars, we can anticipate instability. However, Jupiter, trining those planets, sending a positive aspect, inclines to increases, inclines to stabilization. And therefore, I anticipate that it will not allow a complete crash. And for some things, it is a positive energy. Certainly, it's positive energy for increasing wealth related to commodities, oil, products of seas and earth. But in general terms, it is positive for increases financially, spiritually, in terms of education. It is also a good time for increasing family, for enjoyment. So Jupiter in Cancer is a saving grace. And in many of my previous videos, I mentioned that I think it protects us from the worst, from the conflicts going out of hand. And it does give at least some hope for peace and peaceful resolutions or negotiations. But from the mundane point of view, it is about increases, it is about growth, financially and spiritually. Another positive thing during the month, Venus enters Taurus at the beginning of the month, which is a sign of its dignity, very strong sign, and it also increases financial matters, especially related to earth and commodities. So these are the positives. Venus will continue its travels through for the month of April, and it will transition to the sign of Gemini by April 24. So April is a strong month for Venusian activities, which inclines to enjoyment of earthy matters. It inclines to financial increases and investments. So if this energy can be used correctly, it can bring both enjoyment and increase. Another very important occurrence during the month of April is the stellium of energy in Aries. So right now we have the Sun, Saturn, and Neptune in Aries, but Mars will also join Aries on April 10th. So it intensifies the Aries energy, and we can anticipate much action, much activity around that time. And for the month from the April 10th until the end of April, Mars will be in the sign of Aries. It will only go to Taurus on May 19th. So April, May, Mars remains in the sign of Aries. It's a very strong position, and Mars is comfortable in Aries. So it does incline to action, to military operations, to generally expressing of one's will, one's energy without holding back. However, in the month of April, as Mars enters Aries, it will conjoin Neptune, which shows a dissolution of certain matters, challenges for Mars's energy. And at the same time, it will conjoin Saturn. So from April 10th until April 19th, Mars will be conjoining Saturn. And after April 20th, 21st, it starts to separate. Mars-Saturn combination is a challenging one, and it often coincides with increase of violence because there is a certain energy that wants to push forward, and Saturn is a limiting force. So for the world, those will be very high-paced and remarkable events, but in everyday life for each of us, it also suggests that some of our efforts, some of our undertakings may experience frustration. However, Mars moves forwards, and as it separates from Saturn by approximately end of April, this energy will start dissolving. At that time, Mars will also square Jupiter. So that's an increasing energy. We can anticipate that there will be great focus of energy on military operations, action, activity. It's a highly fast-paced month, and many countries may experience new beginnings, new initiatives happening. Let's take a look at the month ahead, looking for the most positive and the most difficult days. April 1st is a difficult day because it's a full moon, so avoid it for anything that you want in your favor. Travels, investments, surgeries to be avoided. April 2nd is the same energy. The moon is still influenced by its opposition with planets in Aries. April 3rd and 4th are mediocre, but moon is trining Jupiter, so it may be decent for increases for financial investments, for example, but it's not a great days because the moon is in difficult position. April 6th and 7th, the moon is in Sagittarius. It's in mutual reception with Jupiter. Really nice time, especially for growth, for deals, for financial increases, for spiritual, intellectual increases. On April 7th, the moon is also applying a square of Mars and planets Mercury and Mars. So that's a more challenging time. April 9th and April 10th, she is in Capricorn, so that's a mediocre time. On April 9th, she is trining Venus, so again, can be good for practical matters, for organization, for purchases. April 11th and 12th, she is in Aquarius, which is an okay position because she is in positive relationship with the sun, so that's good for interviews, for the flow, general flow of things, but especially related to social affairs. Generally, the moon, sun, positive connections are favorable for everything. So if you must do surgery, if you must travel, that's not bad. On April 13th, she is applying to trine of Jupiter, which is a really positive day, very positive. For increases for emotional connection, for travel, it's acceptable, especially investments related to the seas or products of the seas, because both the moon and Jupiter are in water sign. On April 14th, she's trining Jupiter. That's good as well. But on April 15th, 16th, and 17th, she's going to be in difficult position. So April 15th, she is conjoining Neptune and Mars and Saturn that day, which is a difficult position. It's obstruction of some initiatives and energy. Avoid it for anything that's important. April 16th, a difficult position. She's still with Saturn and applying to the sun. She is besieged, as we say in astrology, so a difficult position for the moon. So new initiatives fraught, much conflictual energy, stop and go kind of energy, very difficult day. So avoid, especially for surgeries. March 17th, a new moon, also a time of imbalance, new beginnings, new start. Again, it's in Aries, so there will be something important for the Aries energy, new initiatives or matters related to the war. I will have a separate video about the lunations because they are used for political predictions, but it's not a good day for activity, so avoid anything important. On April 18th, she's entering Taurus, and she will be applying to Venus in Taurus and to Jupiter in Cancer. Very positive, especially for financial increases, stability, generally positive flow of things. April 19th, she's with Venus, but also with Uranus. Not bad from the traditional point of view, though some unpredictable things can occur. April 20th, she's in Gemini. That's okay. April 21st, also an okay, especially for social engagement, learning, exam taking, travel is okay. April 22nd, she is with Jupiter, a really positive day. That's actually good for astrological magic, but also for investment increases. The only thing with Cancer energy, it's unstable. The things don't hold, but certainly inclining to enjoyment and increase. April 23rd, she's still with Jupiter, positive day, and she's applying to Venus, very positive day for especially increases financial investment, travel, surgery. April 24th, 25th, she is in Leo, trining planets in Aries, so that's good for expression, for manifestation of energy. No, April 26th, she is in Virgo. 27th, she's in Virgo, trining Jupiter. Sextiling Jupiter, that's decent, not bad for practical activities, practical matters, travel. April 28th, she's approaching an opposition with Saturn. April 29th, an opposition with Mars. These are difficult days. 30th, she is separating from them and opposing Mercury and moving to Scorpio, full moon by May 1st. So the last few days of the month are difficult, so avoid it, especially April 28th, 29th, and 30th. These are my thoughts about the month of April. It is going to be an important, highly active month with some things which will probably shock us or surprise us with this Aries energy, concentrated energy, probably related to the war and politics. But in terms of everyday activities, there are positives with the Jupiter in Cancer, Venus and Taurus operating for the month of April. So we can use those energies for practical planning, for investments, for better management of the resources. And with Aries energy, in spite of it certainly correlating with the war and conflicts in the world, on an everyday level, it is about activity, it is about action, it is about manifesting, but perhaps also about patience. And if you hit frustrations or things don't go as fast as you plan, to keep persevering, to keep having faith, to keep having both compassion and patience for oneself and for whatever that you are planning. In a separate video, I want to correlate the previous electional astrology days that I've picked for the months of February and March with finances and how the markets were going up and down. Some of you suggested this would be an interesting idea, and I'm going to release a separate video about that. Let me know in the comments what you think. I hope you find those elections useful. And thank you very much for watching. If you are new to my channel, please like, comment, subscribe. Your support helps the channel to grow, and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much, and talk to you soon.